Okay, so gonna make this like, sort of follow video, respond to some comments. So had the one-on-one with the boss today. Things seem to be a lot more calmed down from yesterday. Um, just gotta make sure I sort of, stay on top of those responsibilities. Which, well, I'll have to check the schedule for tomorrow. I hope I didn't miss anything. Yeah, it's one of those things I'm now kind of, thinking of being cognizant of. Because I had some stuff to get done this evening, and I was kind of far more focused on, getting to that after I got the build at the end of the day done. And I believe we received all the materials for that lab that we need to receive. But again, I'll have to check the schedule just to make sure. What else? I called back that other place, but see, the problem is like that. It seems like they want to, you know, they called me yesterday in the morning, like 10:19, 10:20. But the problem is, like, I work from like 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. I did list my availability. I haven't heard anything back from them. I just called right now, and I feel like I kind of flubbed on the call because I got through like halfway of leaving like a message, and I was kind of like thinking like, you know, like I just kind of rattled off that, okay, my availability is typically, after 3:30. But then I was thinking like, and I kind of froze on on the message where I was like, so to speak. But I then went on to say, if there's any other time that would work, better for you, I can make the space or whatever, possibly around like noon. I could basically like talk to them during my lunch. But I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm kind of the mindset or the experience that, if you're not like sort of like, on fire right away with any company, like, they kind of lose interest real quick. And if it almost seems like, you kind of have some anchors holding you back that you want to like, might seem like you might want to be staying at the company you're at or whatever, or that there's some sort of, roadblocks in the way that doesn't fit with their schedule that, it's kind of like they move on really quickly because they've got other folks, lined up who don't really have those sorts of hang-ups or whatever you want to call them. But as far as like stuff having to do with coworkers, they have like give me tips and tricks and pointers here and there to improve my my workability, or what do you want to call it, my job competence. That stuff has helped, but like some of them just kind of seem to have a little bit of impatience. Um, and I don't want to try and dig into somebody else's psychology, but some of them can be like that. And I suppose, sometimes it might just be it's a Monday, and folks just like, Monday, I gotta be back at work. I was having so much fun on Saturday and Sunday. Now I gotta get up at this hour and be here and blah, 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 and it could be a lot of that. It could have nothing to do with me, nothing personal. But there's that, working my job competence, and I've seen that as I become more comfortable with things, and I've shown that I'm like on the ball, I'm not dropping the ball on things, that like even some of those folks will like kind of start to chill and open up and be a little more like, sociable around me. Um, as far as social standing is concerned, I mean, I'm apparently not going to be the new guy anymore, because they're hiring some other folks on, and I mean, I might end up training some people, might end up being put in that kind of position. What else? Oh, the whole like, I guess it's almost like the last time my dark magician left, he was almost referring to like one of the 48 laws of power. Act like a king to be treated like one. I didn't really like sort of confront the boss about like her behavior yesterday. I kind of brought up in a sort of like tangential sense of like, okay, like we used to have this thing called culture amp where we add goals to for like oh, I want to learn this, I want to learn that at work, advance my career, that sort of thing. And I said that I basically had added to my list of goals, okay, maintain supply levels in this lab that I'm in charge of. and I had set like, a sort of a goal. I'm gonna make like a quarterly sort of thing, and she kind of talked about that a bit. How like for right now, it's sort of like the reagent manufacturing folks are in charge of that sort of stuff, but they're trying to like shift that over to warehouse because then we don't have to flip the Kanban, and it's like this whole thing where when you apply the system it works, when you don't, it messes things up or whatever. But they're trying to shift that over more to the warehouse folks who are basically supposed to be, I mean, in some sense, they're supposed to be keeping an eye on like, how many boxes or whatever are in each bin, and then, supply us, and, expecting us to do that. I mean, that's something we're doing right now, but it's more likely, or more, not more likely, what's the word? It's more so something that would be understood to be their responsibility because they're the supply chain folks, and but right now it's kind of falling under us to keep an eye on that sort of thing. And I talked further about goals and like trying to make them more relevant to work, like learning how to write, a ticket, which is like basically document in case like one of the equipment goes down, and describes the problem, lets the service engineers like know, okay, this is what happened, and they can come and going based off of our report, figure out what happened and fix that. I also talked about getting involved in a corrective and preventative action investigation, or CAPA investigation. Another thing, just stuff that would like make me more like useful to the work, and then also advance my career. And then I had fleshed out some of the other goals I had, but she seemed a bit more amenable. She asked me like, I might make a video about the whole deal with the recent vaccine and all that. Given that I have a background in chemical engineering, and I have probably a decent amount or decent understanding of the science behind things, or just science in general, like the scientific method. But we have the option to get voluntarily vaccinated. I'm one of the few folks who hasn't. And I'm not throwing that out there as some sort of like, see, even he's not getting vaccinated, therefore blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm not making a statement, But she asked about that. We discussed that sort of thing. And it's kind of ironic that, like, this stuff has happened like this, because I had similar events happen at the old workplace, and it was one of those things where, like I was working in the shipping lane, and I ended up dropping a tube, and we lost some product, but then they pulled that from retains, which they had kept, in the fridge or whatever, and we were able to, reship things because there was still enough left in one of the wells in this plate or whatever, and they were able to pull that from that and make another tube with the same product in it. But I like freaked the heck out. I was like, oh my God, they're gonna fire me. I'm done here. I need to get out of this, screw this manufacturing, blah, blah, blah. And, like my boss covered for me at the time, the other boss at this other place. And he was like, oh, it's, he looked through the thing. I was like, oh, it's not as big of a deal. We got this here, blah, blah, blah. And I calmed down. But the funny thing is, it was like right around that time, I was like shooting out like, applications to all these jobs, thinking, oh, I'm screwed. How am I going to explain this? Da 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 da. I'm gonna need to get a new job. And this is like right before the pandemic hit, and it became extremely difficult to get jobs. To get hired somewhere. And the irony is like it became like a pretty solid place to work for like about almost a year and a half. There were different things that came along down the pipeline that made, such that I wanted to leave. But, I had so many situations like that. And, if this other place, does give me the time of day, which I don't know what's going to happen. Apparently I have a solid enough background that they were interested in contacting me. But then, like, it's almost like if you're not there sitting next to your phone, ready to, I need to turn the light on. My keys in the ignition and turn it on because it runs out after a while. But 1 second. Let's see if I can. There we go. Okay. But like I said, it seems like a lot of these cases, like, it's it's probably reflective of like the time we live in. But like I said, if you're not like, jumping at the bit, by whatever you want to call it, the bit, to get the job, or get in with this company or that company, um like I said, it seems like the opportunity will disappear in a split second. And besides, like, I don't know, I'm also sort of feeling like, I mean, this is what I'm gonna is this what I'm going to do anytime I have some new job and start having issues or I have some sort of problem? Am I gonna be like bailing, right away? 'Cause that is kind of an issue. I like Jugmish's comments because, um, I mean, this is not necessarily an issue of a specific company I'm working at. I know I've kind of like rattled on that kind of stuff to my dad, but and maybe it's something I'll have to sort of clarify with him that it's not because of the specific company or whatever, but a lot of it is sort of just it's sort of like growing into the position, and I have to do that. I have to sort of mold myself to fit in. And if there's issues like that, I mean, sometimes it is honestly just a matter of I do need to tighten up on, let's say, my pipetting technique, or I do need to be really on top of things. Like getting there, trying to get there 6:45 a.m. as opposed to 7. No more like rolling in, like I've been doing that. Rolling out of bed, rolling into the car, rolling into the parking lot, late, or just barely getting there in time. And just like, being like right on it, that sort of thing. And, I mean, heck, even not even just like with work, but just life in general. Like I've seen, I need to not only get my sleep schedule, tightened up, so to speak, but I also need to be be focused and jump right into like doing my homework, doing my studying, etc., etc. Not be off on some sort of tangent or something. I mean, occasionally it's a good thing to kick back, relax, unwind, that sort of deal. But if you don't really have the time for it, and you have all these things you need to get done, it's really not a great idea to do that. And I've been seeing that sort of like happening lately, and it's something I need to tighten up on, because it's not even just a matter of like Nofap this, Nofap that. It's like um, going off this sort of perspective of like, if PMO is an issue, it's not PMO that's the issue. It's something else underlying it. Like if you're PMOing every day, every week, every month, something like that, there's something out of whack. And it's sort of like where I'm at right now on, I think it's day 115. It's essentially like I've dug that much deeper into things, such that I've got to basically make sure that I'm tightened up on everything in life, such that I don't start sort of falling back into that sort of just that state of being the kind of person who would be fapping, like the mindset cultivation, habit cultivation, routines, that sort of thing. Like I had a really bad like stress dream last night, and I've let certain things slide as of late that would otherwise probably have helped me cope with that. Like I had started up running again, and it had helped for a time. It had helped for a time to sort of burn off the stress, let me relax a bit, that sort of thing, get that out of my system. Same thing with the whole diet issue. I mean, if I were to weigh myself now, I wouldn't be surprised if it said I was like 210 or something like that, And as time rolls on and I start getting, let's say, my finances, in better shape, I'm going to have less and less excuses to not be taking care of other aspects of my life. And I honestly feel like of the mindset that, you gotta sort of take care of every little bit, a bit here and there in a given day, because it's all like part of a system. And if one part of the system isn't, being taken care of, or it's not functioning well, it's going to sort of ripple into other things. Like if I didn't take care of my money issues, then that would affect my, you know, let's say my education or my career or my sleep or my physical health, et cetera, et cetera. And like tonight, my plan is get that homework done. Finally, the last problem, submit it. And I'll just have to sort of like just go to sleep and be, getting up at a decent time, because it's past 6 right now. I'm hoping I can get that problem done in the next hour or two, get it submitted with, everything else, and then basically like go to sleep, because I've said in the past, like 8:39 is like the ideal time for me to just be in bed, sleeping. I can be waking up at 5 a.m. with 7 to 8 hours of sleep, and that'll give me an hour before I have to be out of the house and headed down to my car and that sort of thing. And if I get to work 15, 20 minutes ahead of time, I can sit there and make, a decent video, and have everything set up and all this sort of stuff. And, I got to make sure things are running like a well-oiled, well-maintained, machine. And, not just, let this or that slide and come up with excuses for why that's okay or whatever the case may be. Because, truth is it's not, especially if I'm going to try to accomplish anything in this life. Just, letting stuff slide, not keeping up with my, habits or routines, or doing what's necessary. And, being willing to adapt, because I'm sure in my last few videos it's made, to sound like I'm sort of putting everything on everybody else's shoulders. No, it's this person who's being a jerk, or that person, da 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 da. It couldn't possibly be me. But I gotta adapt, and I gotta, straighten up. And it can't be, like I said, before, not to belabor the point or repeat myself too many times, but if I had some sort of roadblock with a job or something like that, it can't be a case of, oh my God, like my coworkers aren't super duper nice to me, and I just got reprimanded by my boss. Okay, that's it. Screw this place. I'm out of here. Like, if I had fully, if I had followed through with that back then, I would not have made as much money as I made. I would not have paid off as much debt as I paid off, and I wouldn't have the stock options that I got. I wouldn't, be in this position where I'd complete at least one class with an A minus, and now taking another class aiming to get an A. I wouldn't be, there. Same thing if I had done that with college. If I had done that with so many other things in my life, I had to, learn to get a grip on my emotions, and I still feel like I need to be doing that. So, we'll see how things go with the other place. I definitely want to get into a research position, but at the same time, like, the reason I place so much an emphasis on getting a master's degree, and I realize this video is really long at this point. Not sure how many people are going to watch, all the way through, but it's a matter of efficiency and effectiveness and that sort of thing. Like, and also there are stereotypes within, let's say, the biotech industry, where if all you've done is manufacturing as a manufacturing associate or a technician, that's all they see you as. You could have a master's, you could have all these other things, until or unless some company decides to take a chance on you, and you have to convince them. You got to have those certifications. You got to probably have a master's degree, maybe have somehow worked your way in within some company into a certain position or so. Like if I stayed here for a year and worked my way into the service engineering group, or into the automation group, or process, something like that, process dev, or they call it, I guess, tech dev. I'd have to do something like that, and along the way gain certifications, advanced degree, that sort of thing. Because one thing, and this is not coming just from this company, but from the last company I worked at, my supervisor, he had an engineering background. He wanted to get in with the engineers, because, you get an engineering degree, like, what are you trying to become? You're trying to become an engineer, not just some technician or even a supervisor or so. And I mean, they gave him a lot of pushback on that, and he wasn't able to. The other guy was, but the other guy who was my boss before that, I mean, he'd been at the company for like 3 years, and I mean, he had to like, you know, be like the supervisor for one of the hardest shifts, and it was all this like really heavy lifting before they were like, okay, fine, we'll let you in. Whereas there were other folks who, it was like they just hired them from outside and brought them in at a drop of a hat. And I mean, I could get into the gender dynamics of things, which really grinds my gears. Same thing with a lot of other stuff, but needless to say, like, for a guy as smart as my boss and hardworking as him, it's like, it was really like eye-opening to see him get rejected from that, because it was just like, wow, like if he can't get in, like, and they're telling him, oh, you have to have 3+ years of programming these robots, and it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that whole, conundrum of, I need this job to get the experience that you say I need in order to get this job, sort of a thing. And well, how do you do that? I guess you write things in your free time, and you somehow like that has to count on the same level as actual work in an actual company where they give you an actual project to work on. I don't know. But to me, from what I'm seeing, getting that master's degree, getting those certifications, those are the best things I can do right now, in addition to just working, and hopefully hobnobbing with the right people. But it's a real grind, it's a real slog, and you somehow have to convince folks, to take a chance on you, that you're somehow worth putting in charge of certain things, But anyways, I've gone on long enough, said enough. It's 22 minutes. I think it's probably gonna be one of the longest videos I've put up. So, anywho, yeah, I'll see you folks around. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.